Welcome back to Introduction to Programming. This is video 16 in our series. My name is John Dwayne. In the last video, we introduced the concept of arrays, the most basic in-memory data storage technique that is used by virtually all programming languages. Today we will continue with arrays. We are going to work on an example using real data that I downloaded from the U.S. Census Bureau's website. So let's take a look. So here's the website, the U.S. Census Bureau 2010. It says here, but it really has data going back for quite a few censuses. If you go to the Data tab and then work your way down the web page to this area called Apportionment Data. They have a number of things here, but the one that I picked is population density. So I downloaded this as a CSV file, and that loaded into my Excel worksheet. So after I did the download, it looks like this. So it has a row for every state in the Union. Also the District of Columbia, and then at the very end I believe it's Puerto Rico. So we'll have 52 states, let's say. And then the columns are the population for each state for the 1910 census. And, they do this every 10 years all the way up to 2010, which is here in column L. And then they have these statistics, population density, so this is the number of people per square mile in the state. And then that goes all the way out to column W here, where we have the density for 2010. Now in our example, I didn't do anything with density, although it is kind of an interesting statistic. If you divide population by density, you would get the square miles of the state, so you in theory could figure out what state is the biggest in land area. But we're going to stick to just the population numbers. Okay, so that's the data we're working with. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to load this data into an array, and then once it's in the array, we're going to do a number of things. First, we'll find the state with the highest population. Then we'll find the average state population, and then finally we'll search for a state in the array and return its population. That'll be a state that the user is interested in. So let's go ahead and start looking at the code. So I have the program started here. We'll sort of add the code little by little as we go. Declare variables in the beginning, so we'll have I as a counting variable. That'll be an integer. Int rows, that'll be another integer. We'll use this to count the number of rows in the worksheet, and then that'll be useful in a couple of ways. Str population as a string. It kind of sounds funny, I guess, to think of a number as a string, but in this case we'll use this variable for formatting purposes. So when we display our results, we'll want to format it in a nice way, and that'll have to be in a string, so we'll use this variable for that. LNG, highest pop, so highest population, so this will be a number, so that'll be used in our population arithmetic. Str highest state, this will be the variable that we'll use to store the name of the state with the highest population. And then here's our array. We'll call it Census. We'll initially not give it any dimensions. We don't know how big it's going to be at this point. It's going to be a two-dimension array, so it'll have two columns. So we don't know how many rows, but we do know how many columns. So we'll have one column for the name of the state and the other for the population. Okay, so that's declaring the variables. The next section is we need to figure out how big to make the array. So we'll go to the sheet and you can see up here in the Solution Explorer that sheet 1 is the name of that first sheet, and so I'm selecting that. I want to go to A6. Why A6? Well, let's go look. A6 is the first state. I'm not really interested in the total for the whole country, nor am I interested in any of these column headings, so I want to start there. A6 for Alabama. So that's why I picked A6. And then I want to count the rows of all the states now. So I'll use the selection.currentRegion.rows.count expression. And so what this will do is for all the cells that are touching A6 that have data, so all the contiguous cells, we'll figure out how many rows are in that giant range and then count them, and then I'm going to subtract 5 because I'll show you why. If we go to A6, so we're at A6, and then I'll go to special current region. This is how you do current region with just mouse clicks. Look, it lights up all the way up to to the first row down to Puerto Rico and 57. Well, I don't want all those, so I want to I'll take the number of rows, so I guess that'd be 57 rows, but minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I want to take away 5, and that will give me the correct size for this array. So that's what I'm doing here. So int rows will be all the rows of the worksheet minus 5. And then here, using the redim keyword, I'm going to give the array its proper dimensions. So 1 to int rows, and then 1 to 2 for the 2 dimensions. Alright, so now the array is the right size. So now let's fill in the array. So the code I have for that is here. So again, I go to A6 just to make sure. I want my cursor in A6, and then I'll do a for next loop. Now I'm using I as the counting variable, and as I iterate through the array using this for next structure, I'm going to give the I double duty here. So not only will it be my counter for looping, it'll also be my index number for the array. So census I1, I is going to be coming from this variable here. So I1 is going to be active cell value, so I1, if we look at what active cell value is, that will be right there. That'll be the state. That's right. That's what we want to go there in that first element. And in the second element, second column, we want to go over 11 columns to get our value. So that's why we use the offset 0 row offset, 11 column offset. So if we start there and we go over 11 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, we end up in 2010, which is where we want to be. And then the next line is the expression we use to move the cursor down one cell. So active cell offset 1 row, 0 column. So stay in the same column, just go down 1 row. And that's going to fill up the array. So the first thing we're going to do with all this data now that it's in the array is we're going to find the state with the highest population. So how are we going to do that? Well, first we'll take the first state in the array and we'll say that that's going to be the highest state unless another state turns out to be higher. So element 1,1 will be the name of the state, and array element 1,2, that'll be the population of that first state. I think it was Alabama. And then we'll do a for next loop where we start at item 2, so for I equals 2 to upper bound census, the high end of the census, go all the way to the end. We'll do a comparison. We'll say if long highest pop is less than the item that we're on right now, then we're going to replace what's in string highest state and long highest pop with the current item in the loop. And then that will give us, once we get to the very end, the state with the highest population. So let's display the results with this code, which will send the data to the immediate window. So you've seen this before. Actually, this is the format expressions. So long highest pop is a number. We convert it to a string with this function, and then format will actually put it into this format. So this is a very handy expression. You should remember this. And then we'll print it out to the immediate window. So let's run that. And the state with the highest population is California, 37,253,956. Notice that our population number is expressed with commas, so it's easy to read. All right, so it's pretty good. Now it's fast too. All right, next we're going to figure out the average state population. So I have some code for that. And you'll see that once we've got the array filled, these other operations are quite easy. So here we are with the average state population code. So I'm adding a variable here, long population or long total population, because I'm going to need to keep track of what the total population is. And I will start off with 0 as the total for long total population. I'll loop through the entire census using the same for next looping structure, and I will increment long total population with the population in array element 2 for all, I think it's 52 items. So that's what this expression will do. Long total population will equal long total population plus the current item. By the time we get to the end, it'll be the total for the entire country. And then in the results, we'll have string population now being long total population divided by int rows. Remember, that was back up here. We figured out how many rows were in the worksheet. So we'll divide the total by the number of rows, do some formatting, display the results. So let's go ahead and do that. Average state population, a little over 6 million. All right, great. So then our last example is find the population of a given state. So here we're going to ask the user to tell us what state they want. So we'll create another variable, string state, and then string state will be populated with whatever the user tells us. So we use the input box function. Find population for which state? The user will input the name of the state, and then we'll do the for next loop. We'll run through searching for string state versus the array element I1, and if we find it, then we'll get the population. We'll format it, kind of like we did up above, and then using a message box, we'll display the state that the person was interested in. So population for string state, which we got from the input box, is, and then string population will be the formatted string representing this number. So let's try that. So find population for which state? How about Connecticut? Hope I spelled that right. I guess I did, because there it is. Population for Connecticut is 3,574,097. Fantastic. Okay, so let's wrap up. Today we've gotten some real practice with arrays. How to load them with data from a worksheet, how to iterate through them to find a maximum, average, and a user supplied value. Well, I hope this was helpful. Please subscribe to this video series and write comments about anything that was not clear. I'll monitor the comments and I'll definitely respond. So I'll see you next time.